He's back to pass. Pressure coming. He's going to get hit in the end zone. That's going to be a safety.
It's now time for Gridiron, State of the Union.
Another touchdown, Porter Ridge, and they've gone up. The score is 23-17.
Presented by DMR Reconstruction, North Carolina's leader in quality insurance restoration services, with crews on standby 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. DMR Reconstruction has your restoration needs covered. Give them a call at 704-327-4028.
He's going to hand it off to Byram. Byram on the right-hand side. He's going to be into the end zone. Touchdown, Monroe.
Gridiron State of the Union is your insider's look each week into Union County High School football.
Malcolm fires one off, and it's into the end zone. Touchdown, Piedmont.
Now we head into the DMR Reconstruction Studio and your host, Brian Stevenson.
It's week 2 of the high school football playoffs, and 7 Union County teams are still in it. Unfortunately, Sun Valley fell last week to A.C. Reynolds, and Cuthbertson fell to Asheville. But we've got all of your teams covered in our trip around Union, and we start off with Sideline Mike, who has one of the biggest stories of the week. Parkwood still in it, and they're at Forest Hills.
There's a big rematch tonight for Parkwood and Forest Hills in round 2 of the state playoffs. Last week, Parkwood had one of the biggest wins in the state when they upset number 1 seed Franklin on the road 35-17. Parkwood had 3 defensive touchdowns in the fourth quarter to seal the win. Junior Max Robinson had 2 scores on the night, 1 on offense and 1 on defense. For the Yellow Jackets, an unconventional win led into round 2. Their opponent last week had to forfeit because of an ineligible player. This round 2 matchup will be a rematch from October 18th, a game where the Yellow Jackets won 56-25. Will the Rebels get revenge, or will the Jackets salvage a disappointing season with a trip to round 3? And that's our WIXE Game of the Week. That's the story from Marshville, and now to Reed Alexander, who's with the Red Hawks in Monroe.
The Monroe Red Hawks come into round 2 after an impressive 46-8 win over RS Central last week. Trayshawn Wynn had 3 scores on the night. The Red Hawks are on a 7-game winning streak and have outscored their opponent 286-50 in those games. Tonight, Monroe takes on 9-3 West Stokes. The Red Hawks are the highest remaining seed in the West, so a win would guarantee a home game next week. That's the story from Monroe. And now to Ken Ogden, who has a report on Piedmont.
The Piedmont Panthers are in the second round of the state playoffs after their 31-17 win over Tuscola last week. The win improved the Panthers to 8-4. It also broke a 2-game losing streak. The win moves Piedmont into the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 2010. Their opponent tonight will be the very tough Concord Spiders. The Spiders are 12-0 and the number 2 seed in 3A bracket. That's the story from Concord. And now to Derek Skinner with a report on Union Academy.
Union Academy moves into round 2 after a 12-0 win over South Stanley last week. The win gives the Cardinals a record of 6-5. It was Union Academy's 3rd shutout of the season. The Cardinals will need that great defense to have the game of their life tonight if they want to move to round 3. Once again, they play a member of their conference. This time it's the Albemarle Bulldogs, a team the Cardinals just lost to 29-6 at home on November 1st. This game will be on the road. Albemarle is the number 1 seed in the 1A bracket. That's the story on the Cardinals, and now to Chris Rogers with a report on Porter Ridge.
Porter Ridge Pirates are in round 2 tonight after a 32-26 win on the road at Watauga last week. Pirates were down 26-20 going into the fourth quarter, but scored the game's final 12 points while shutting out the Pioneers in the fourth quarter. Jarrett Robbins returned and scored 3 touchdowns on the night. Tonight the Pirates hit the road again and faced a familiar opponent in the Ravens at Rocky River High School. The Ravens beat Porter Ridge in the regular season finale 20-0 to claim a share of the Southwestern 4A Conference title. But the Pirates were playing that night without QB Isaiah Hicklin, who was out with injury. Hicklin returns tonight in the lineup, and the Pirates have something to prove as they try to reach round 3 for the 3rd consecutive season. That's the story on the Pirates. And now to Robert Filter, who has the story on Weddington.
The Weddington Warriors advanced into round 2 with a 42-0 blowout win over the Ledford Panthers last week. Weddington was able to spread the wealth with 7 players scoring on the night, including a 35-yard pick six by Mitch Carson. The Warriors now have 10 wins for the first time in team history. They will try to make history again tonight when they travel to Asheville to face the Cougars. A win would advance Weddington into the third round for the first time in school history. Asheville is the number 2 seed, though, and a tough opponent in the 3AA bracket. That's the story on the Warriors. And now back to the studio and Brian Stevenson.
Thanks a lot, Robert. We wish Weddington and all of the Union County teams the best of luck tonight. When we come back on Gridiron State of the Union, my broadcast partner, Reed Alexander.
Hey folks, Shane here. If any of you have ever played high school football, the number one thing you want to do is win the game. You're going to find yourself in the red zone on occasion. That's that final 20-yard stretch between you and 7 points, or between you and a victory, or between you and a defeat. Now, you're only as good as your quarterback. So let's imagine that damage to your home is the red zone. You got fire damage, water, wind, or mold damage. Who do you want on your team, and who do you want the quarterback to be? Well, the team you want is DMR Reconstruction. Tim Farmer is easily the quarterback you want calling the plays in this situation. Folks, they'll help you deal with the insurance adjusters. They'll take care of the damage. They'll fix it back to way better than it was before it ever even happened. It's DMR Reconstruction. Tim Farmer's your quarterback. They are the leader in the red zone. They'll take care of the problem. They'll help you deal with the insurance adjuster 24 hours a day. Call 704-327-4028. 327-4028. They're the proud sponsors of the Gridiron State of the Union on the Mighty 1190.
Welcome back to Gridiron State of the Union, and I'm joined now by Reed Alexander for our roundtable segment. Reed, we certainly saw a dominating performance, 42-0 by Weddington last Friday night.
Absolutely. Weddington looked fantastic. They had the passing game going, which was really impressive to see because in high school ball, especially in Union County, we see a lot of teams relying on the run. And Weddington had some great passes, and then they were able to utilize the run in a very dominating fashion. We witnessed Boyd, the running back, one of the many running backs for Weddington, just a big kid, a man among boys, was just able to just dominate down the field. But, Jeff Welch, the quarterback for Weddington, as I mentioned, throws a very throwable ball, and I think the combination of the pass and the run with their stout defense, we could see Weddington go pretty far in the playoffs.
Well, they have never made it past this round, so this is a big matchup in school history. They also got their 10th win, as we heard earlier, in the Around Union segment. So big things are happening for these guys, but it's going to be a tough one tonight. I've gone to Asheville when covered football for Football Friday Night, WBTV, and I can tell you that is a cold place. It's a true home field advantage, a very neat atmosphere, an old stadium up there. So they're really going to have to get off the bus and be loose if they want to win this one tonight here. It's going to be a good game, though. I'm like you. I think seeing those guys play last week, that was as complete a team effort as I've ever seen.
And what you mentioned about what you say about Asheville is very true. It's going to be a tough game for Weddington, and you heard me earlier talk about all the things Weddington does that's great. But whenever you play a really tough team with the home field advantage, the really loud fans, you just got to understand that that's what you're going to walk into. So mentally be prepared, because the mental aspect, if they can control the mental aspect, the physical aspect will take care of itself, but they can't come in and lay an egg.
Well, definitely they're going to have to be on their game. But let's talk about another game, one that's in the county tonight, the one that everybody's talking about, of course, Forest Hills and Parkwood. Parkwood came out on the losing end pretty bad last time, but they feel like they're ready and have improved some things. Of course, Jared Lee is sensational. We've watched him run havoc over teams all season long. This is going to be an exciting one.
Well, it's interesting that Forest Hills is in the second round because many people didn't think Forest Hills would win their first matchup, but we understand that Forest Hills won due to a technicality and from a forfeit. So it's interesting that Forest Hills is in the second round, and yes, traditionally Forest Hills has been a dominating team for many years in Union County. This year, though, they started 0-4, and even though they did well in their conference, it wasn't the same Forest Hills team that we've seen through the years. I think this is a very winnable game for Parkwood if they come out and play hard.
Yeah, I'm with you, Reed. I don't think this is one that you look back at the previous game and really can take anything away from it. I think this is anybody's ball game. Forest Hills does have the home field advantage. Either way, we've got a Union County team that's going to be going into round 3, and that's going to be exciting. So we'll keep on having football for the next week or two, and I'm certainly looking forward to being with you in just a little bit as you and I call Monroe and West Stokes' game 2 of our doubleheader tonight. Reed Alexander joining us for our roundtable segment, and we'll be right back with the coach of those Parkwood Rebels, Lynn Coble, right after this.
Shane here. Imagine this. It's the end of the game. 5 seconds left. You're in the red zone. You have a chance to call one play. You're either going to win or lose the game with this play. All right, at this point, who do you want your team to be and who do you want your quarterback to be? Imagine the red zone is damage to your home. Fire, water, wind, or mold damage. You want DMR Reconstruction as your team, and you want Tim Farmer as your quarterback because he has a darn near perfect completion ratio when he's in the red zone. Folks, they'll call the right play every time. They'll come in, they'll take care of the problem, they'll help you deal with the insurance adjusters, and your home is going to look better than it ever has before. So if you're in the red zone with your home, and it's fire, water, wind, or mold damage, you need the team that can win the game. It's DMR Reconstruction. 704-327-4028, 327-4028. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're the proud exclusive sponsor of the Gridiron State of the Union on the mighty 1190.
Welcome back to Gridiron State of the Union. Time now for our Coach's Corner segment, and I'm talking to Coach Lynn Coble, who his Parkwood Rebels had one of the biggest wins in the entire state last week. What a great win your guys had against Franklin.
Yes, sir. We played real well, and we're just proud for the kids, and it's been great for our school and our community.
Well, talk about that win because you win 35-17, and as you go through the stats, what was that, 3 touchdowns by your defense?
Yeah, 3 touchdowns there defensively in the fourth quarter. We put a lot of pressure on them, and they had to go outside the mold a little bit and do some things they really didn't want to do. They put the ball in the air a lot more than they really wanted to. And, we made the big play on the fumble recovery and then had 2 pick sixes behind that. And I think that had a lot to do with our defense, forcing them out of their comfort zone.
Coach, your defense was good all season, and I know you talked a lot earlier when we had discussions about making sure these guys believed that they could take it to the next level. How good was that bus ride home on Friday night?
Well, it was a long bus ride, but it was a good one. They saw a lot of those efforts and the work they put in over the last few years paying off. And, they played pretty well all year. We're real happy about what they did there, and we just hope we can carry that momentum into tonight.
Well, of course, let's talk about tonight. I know the first time you met up with Forest Hills, not the result you wanted, not the execution you guys wanted, but tell me how your team is different now and how you believe you can execute and stop a guy like Jared Lee on the field tonight in round 2.
Well, just the fact they're playing so well together. We had some breakdowns in that game, and we've talked about them multiple times. I told the kids, you don't get a chance very often to get a redo or a do-over. But we knew going to Franklin that Forest Hills had received the forfeit, and we knew who was waiting on us. And I think that was a motivating factor for us, too, because we wanted to go back and have another shot at them. It's going to be a great ball game, and the victor has a great chance in the next round. So we're just excited about the opportunity.
What will you tell your guys as you prepare to go out on the field in just a little while?
Well, we've been talking to the last 3 weeks, not just the last couple of weeks, but ever since we played Cata, we played every game like a playoff game because we had no guarantees of even getting in going into that game. So we treated it as a playoff game, and we've been prepping that way each week, and we've been talking about the fact that we're playing for our football lives. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, and there's no reason to leave anything on the field.
Special thanks to Coach Lynn Coble for being part of our Coach's Corner segment this week.
Time for Extra Points.
In my Extra Points tonight, I have to remind you that just a few months ago, there was a major turnover in coaching staffs in Union County High School football, and a lot of people said this could be a down year in high school football here in the county. But as we go into round 2, we still have 7 teams in the state high school playoffs. It just goes to show you that Union County football has improved so much, and they are contenders on the state level. And with that, we are all out of time. Special thanks to DMR Reconstruction, and thank you for listening. We've examined the state of our union, and I can report it is good. Good night, everybody.